boys and girls, this is my favorite time of the year. It's cold in the mornings, warm in the afternoons, cool in the evenings. Several hunting seasons are in. I'm probably going to do some squirrel hunting later, and right now I'm out getting Finn his morning poop. But we talked about the situation with Glock about a month or so ago, and I have finally replaced one of my Glocks that I use on the channel, and I wanted to show you what I replaced it with, and we'll go out and test fire it. All right, well, since we're here, I'll go ahead and show you guys some behind the scenes stuff. So we take the bore cleaner there from Otis, and we set it right off the frame on this side, and we take this little tube of Loctite and set it right off the frame this way. And then this random knife that I found, we stick it over here, right off the frame that way, and now we have a defined three-dimensional space to work in. And this is my Glock 19. This is a weapon that I've been using on the channel for a long period of time. I modded this thing out a couple years ago as a suppressor host for any time a 9mm suppressor designed for a handgun comes into the channel for evaluation. This is one of the workhorses that it would go on. Couple quick mods just to highlight. An NSR backplate just for aesthetic purposes. There's a Blacklist Industries threaded barrel added here, and this thing's in really good shape considering that there's been tens of thousands of rounds through this thing over the course of its life. Just a little bit of finish pitting there that I'll give you a close-up on so you guys can see. Fantastic shape, still accurate, and then of course a set of suppressor sights from XS here. And for those of you who don't understand that, whenever you add a can like this Optimus here, it's too tall, and to see over the can body, you need raised suppressor sights to be able to see around it. So that's what those are for, and these are my go-to sights. So anyway, many of you may be tracking what happened with Glock a little bit ago. For those of you who aren't familiar, I'll have something up on screen for you guys to read through, but basically the real quick notes on that are that Glock asked a government to institute gun control. And whether you agree with the subject of what they asked for or the reason that they did it, that is the wrong direction for the Second Amendment community. Now, does that mean that this is some kind of puritanical thing that I expect you to follow me on? I don't think so. Do I think that everybody should just throw their Glocks away and all that sort of stuff? Probably not. I don't think that that's a reasonable take, especially in today's economy. I just don't think that that is a reasonable ask for most people. But me, in a position as someone who is a frontward-facing Second Amendment channel and personality, I think that I'm held to a little bit higher standard, and that I should be giving an example of products that people should be considering buying, not necessarily what people should be throwing away or something like that. So don't go out and throw your Glocks away if you don't want to. If you don't have the discretionary income to do that, then please don't do that. You're better off having a gun that functions fine and all that sort of stuff. I've never had a problem with Glock over the years. It's just this most recent move by them is just antithetical to everything the Second Amendment stands for. And for them, even though they were asking for a piece of gun control that is in effect already the law of the land, it's just a bad look, and it's not a thing that I can abide. So I've made a decision to swap out my discretionary prop guns for use on the channel. And I made a video about this already. I'm going to continue to carry my other Glock that I have because it doesn't have a single factory Glock part on it, so it's not really even subject to that. It's just like the Glock design. But this one specifically is a Glock brand Glock. It's seen plenty of use throughout its life, and I've just decided that it is time that this one be replaced. And instead of being replaced with a Glock product, I'm going to go with a competitor because I just don't think that what Glock did was right. So in today's video, I'm going to show you what I swapped to. So we'll go ahead and set this aside, never to appear again. And I just smashed a yellow jacket over here, so there's some goop there. So I apologize for the messiness of the case. This is a Walther PDP Pro. And this is set up, comes from the factory with a threaded barrel. Real quick, I'm just going to run you through kind of like what all is in here. We'll get to this here in a second. A couple different back straps here, some tools and parts, 3 magazines, a magazine loader, the obligatory trigger lock and all that sort of stuff, and of course a chamber flag. Let's go ahead and get this thing out of here. The only thing that I have done to this thing that was different than how it came, so the only mod that I've made is I've gone ahead and added my go-to excess suppressor sights on this thing. Even though this thing is optics ready, we'll be adding an optics later, but the suppressor height sights should play with the optic just fine. And there's also optic height sights available from XS, so if you don't want an interaction between your co-witness on your optic and your sights, they offer that as an option as well, just slightly different. And the way that I understand that this works is that basically you send in a rebate to Walther and they send you a plate, and then they have other plate patterns available for their optics. So whatever pattern you want, you go ahead and do that. It does come with a threaded 1/2x28 barrel, and if we do look at that 1/2x28 barrel, it is a properly done barrel. There for a while, a lot of handguns were not doing it properly. This is a 1/2x28 right-hand thread. It has the proper relief cut into the shoulder, so there needs to be a gutter there that allows some of the gunk to collect in, and that's just part of the machining process. But we found that having that little free bore of the shoulder there, it helps home that suppressor mount up against that shoulder properly versus running the thread all the way up. So if you're seeing a barrel that isn't threaded this way, then it's wrong. But just throwing that out there. The trigger on this thing is actually one of the best factory triggers that I have ever seen in my entire life. And what we're going to do here shortly is go out to the range and have a good time with this thing, just to kind of test fire it. I'm also going to be bringing the Griffin Optimus along with us to be able to do some testing, both with it suppressed and unsuppressed. So without further ado, let's go ahead and run out to the range. First shot's through the Walther PDP, and we're shooting the 124 grain ball from Fiocchi. And this is going to be a simultaneous test because I just swapped out the sights to the suppressor height XS sights, but I'm used to their V-notch persuasion, and I don't remember on these ones whether at this distance we're supposed to level the sight or if we're supposed to bury the indicator. So we're gonna do it live and we're gonna find out. Little tiny 5-inch targets over there, and we're gonna just start out just leveling it and see what happens. Let me get a cleaner target. Yeah, so this, let me see here. I'm gonna make sure that I'm in focus. This plane with this plane. And then we'll take a couple more shots at 50 yards. There we go. Found my distance. Found my distance. And we'll just go ahead and burn the rest of these out. All right, well, that was it. Now we're gonna do some suppressor work. And to be honest, I don't actually know what I'm doing right this second because it's somewhat ambiguous. Usually when you get one of these things, you just kind of like wing it or buy an after factory spring. Well, the PDP comes with a spring. And my assumption is that this is for full powered 9mm ammunition. So we're gonna change over to some subsonic stuff and shoot it with the base spring in it to see what happens. And I have a Griffin Optimus here. This is a 9mm suppressor configured for 9mm. So it's one of the ones that can do a whole bunch of different stuff. And we're gonna switch over to this 158 grain subsonic and see if it runs with the stock spring. So first things first, we're just gonna shoot it and see what happens. Does it cycle? I would say that it does cycle. It doesn't seem to have like a whole lot of erratic ejection. All right, sounds pretty good. Now I'm going to switch over to the green spring and see if it disables the gun. Same thing, 158 grain, green spring installed. Okay, it still functions. Let's go ahead and give it a rapid fire. Okay. Although I have to, there we go. It looks like you can use either, folks. From the first shots, this is what I would call the mid-range on the backstrap. I would probably change this out personally for the smallest one, just because I think it's a little bit meaty there. I have relatively big hands, but I like my handguns to be very thin profile, so I would probably swap that out just from the initial range experience that we had there. And then the other thing I just wanted to highlight is that this is an 18 round magazine, and those 3 magazines are all 18 round magazines. So this is a full-size handgun, plenty of capacity, and I think that it is meeting what I would consider the new industry standard, which is they come with 3 magazines when you purchase your weapon. So I think that that is a movement in the right direction, and that should be the norm from here on out for all handguns. And I do like the case that it comes in, even though I find that to be relatively unnecessary when it comes to handguns. The only other improvement that I would really like to see on this gun, just from my initial taking it down and everything, you can see that we still have the green spring in there. This kind of sits a little bit wonky, and it's because it's made of polymer. I really think that this guide rod needs to be made out of metal. I'm not really a partial towards it being steel or aluminum, but just how flexible this is. You can see that it's flexing while it's installed in the channel there. And that is whether we're talking about this one, which is supposed to be the heavier spring, same thing on that one. You can see that that is flexing, and that just looks unhealthy to me. I don't think that it should be that way, and I would suggest that Walther go back to the drawing board on that and offer some kind of factory upgrade that is made out of some kind of metal. I don't care whether it's aluminum or steel. It just looks like that is going to be a point of potential failure in the future, and that is really the main critique that I have with the limited amount of ammunition that I have through it. I will be able to come back and have this discussion with you guys here in a couple months. I've got some suppressor projects and some other things that are coming down the pipe, and that is going to drastically increase the round count on this thing in a very quick fashion. So in a couple months, I should be able to come back and tell you whether we had any problems with it or whether that is something that showed accelerated wear. But anyway, that's what I got for you guys today. Again, this is not a, like, you must go out and get rid of one of these and replace it with one of these. I paid for this myself. This was not a prop gun. This was not a gun that Walther sent to me, although I would absolutely take their money. This is a gun that I purchased from a distributor just to replace this and get it off of the channel. And that is my own personal opinion and decision, and it's not something that I think that you guys should feel forced to do. I'm just telling you what I'm doing as a personality in the space and what lines I'm holding. And if you want to follow, then that's your prerogative. But anyway, that's what I got for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in to the VSO Gun Channel. Hopefully we'll see you on another one here pretty soon.